All right, everybody, so it is 1 o'clock. We're going to jump right in. So Mark and Will decided to combine their two 30-minute presentation or 25-minute presentations into one 50-minute presentation about pricing and marketing. And I've already heard a lot of questions today about, there was one online that we didn't get around to this morning about how do I take my business to the next level? How do I market my brand? How do I get people to know my name? And we have all seen 1,000 times in groups, here's this product. How much would you sell it for?
Yeah.
Like, that is a huge question. And Mark
and we're not going to address that at all.
Good luck.
So I'm going to hand it over to them now, and
Great.
we appreciate them being here
Yeah,
and sharing their
absolutely.
expertise.
So we're gonna try to cover as much as we can, knowing that this is a big topic, and we will just share some of our thoughts about marketing and pricing, and of course we'll want to take questions throughout the thing as well to make sure that we answer as many questions as we can. First of all, let me just ask the question: how many of you guys feel like you struggle a little bit with finding the price for things? Is anybody? Okay. And then anybody struggle with how to market your stuff? Okay, so some people here. Okay, great. We're going to try to cover how we do it. And we're not saying that the way we do things is the right way. We're just saying this is our way. And I think we're going to ask you a few questions and make a few statements that might actually stick with you and help you a lot. You want to say anything before we get started?
No, we'll jump into this so we can get some, and we encourage some feedback. We encourage questions because some of that conversation is going to help us guide you to where you need to get to as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, and we're going to hold our notes loosely, meaning if we hear a question from you that's important, we're just going to chase that instead. So please just ask them as we go. So I want to kind of set the stage here for something that we're going to talk about for the rest of this time. And when we've talked a lot about pricing and marketing, we've realized that we've probably done this 6 or 7 times together. And as we've done this more and more, we realize that there's another piece that doesn't quite fit in here that we know is important. And that's your target market, because your target market is going to determine your pricing and determine how you market to those people. So let me give you a couple of phrases here that I want to kind of just set the stage with. Is number one, the price you choose depends on who you're selling to. You know what I'm talking about? Because there are people who will pay a certain price and people who will pay another price, and those are not always the same people. And so who you are selling to will help determine your price. Right? The way that you market changes based on who your target market is. Again, let that sink in for a minute, because different people respond to marketing different ways or different types of marketing, right? So the way that you market changes based on who your target market is.
Sorry, I hit this one. The price you choose may cause you to change your target audience because it doesn't fit your current audience. So if you say that this is what my costs are, this is what my time is, this is the price that makes sense for my business, my audience, the audience that I'm currently marketing to doesn't fit that price, you might have to change who you market to, right? You want to find the customers to fit your price, not your price to fit your customers.
Right. That's good. Go ahead and do the last one there.
Yeah. And we'll write these all down.
We'll talk about that a lot.
The cost of marketing can cause your prices to go up, which could in turn change who you are selling to. Again, the same way what we've talked about before is marketing, if you're selling at a flea market, might be different than when you're selling to a CEO of a business who's giving out corporate gifts for 1,000 people. Your presentation is going to change. You might have different marketing materials that you need to use to attract those customers, but know that that price is going to go up, which in turn is going to make your price go up, but it will pay off at the end.
Yeah.
So you're not marketing the same to the same people. Right.
So we tried to say, we're going to talk about pricing completely by itself, and then we'll talk about marketing, and they just run together so much that we're going to claim that we're going to do the first half on pricing, but the reality is it's just going to run all together. So that's because that's how it works. So the big question that everybody asks, they say, what do I charge for this thing, right? I got this thing, what do I charge for it? So we're going to try to talk about that. And we feel like choosing the right price includes 2 basic things: your total cost and then the value that the customer puts on it, right? Those are the 2 most important things. A lot of times we separate those 2 or forget the second one, and we think that the second one is even more important than your total cost. Talk about that for just a minute.
Yeah, because for some Some might value your product. A lot of people say, well, I would never pay for that. I would never pay $50 for that. We are not our customer, right? So you want to sell based on what they find value is. We set the price based on our cost, our time, all of that. The customer ultimately sets the value. They either find value in it and they say, that price falls lower than what I value it as, and I will buy it, or it doesn't, and they don't. So understanding that, we need to understand that the price is what we control. The value is ultimately what your customer is going to see if that makes sense to them to buy.
Right. And of course, sometimes we need to find a different customer, because I see a lot of times people are selling to the wrong people. Like I'll make anything up, and they're saying, I'm trying to sell this thing, and I hear this all the time, and I just reject this entirely. When people say, nobody in my town will spend that much. What you actually mean is nobody that I know. That's what you should be saying. But it's almost never true. It's just mean you haven't found the right people yet. And one of my friends has a t-shirt he came out with last year that says, kill your can't. Just stop, I can't. Kill it. I just haven't found the right market yet. I need to find the right market. But a lot of times, what we'll talk about later here also is your cost. You can manage your cost a little bit, right? Like you could find a better source of materials, get it cheaper. You could buy your materials in bulk, get it cheaper. You could find different ways to do it. But you know, your costs can only be managed so much before you can't manage it anymore. But there's a lot more opportunity to find someone who will spend more money on the thing you're selling. You follow what I'm saying? Because, like, for example, do you guys know who Robin Marsh is? Everybody know Robin? You should. I know you do, of course, because you have some Robin stuff. Robin Parker Marsh. If you don't know her, write her name down. She is a fantastic designer. You should be checking out her work. She is fantastic. And one of the things, welcome. I always get it wrong.
Welcome.
With
Yeah,
no S. I always put S at the end, and it's wrong. It's no, you were right.
Oh, okay.
Welcome Home Custom.
Yeah.
Zzz, no zzz at the end, because that's somebody. Yeah, she is fantastic. She's an incredible designer. She's a great person. Check her work out. She talks a lot about what she calls showstoppers, right? Rachel, I'm looking at you like, of course, yeah. And what she does is she makes these beautiful designs that she will tell everybody in her group, hey, you should be selling this for $300. You should be selling this for a bunch of money. And you want to get in front of the right people, and the right people will spend the money that you want, okay? So instead of trying to say, oh, I spent $20 making this so I can only sell it for $40, you should be looking for the $100 customer instead of the $40 customer, right? So getting in front of the right person. So we feel like there's a lot more opportunity to raise your the market of people you're selling to.
Yep.
Okay.
Same thing with, like, I'll use an example of cutting boards. I see a lot in the groups is, I only use bamboo because it's the cheapest boards I can find, and I want the highest profit margin. And then you find that you find a teak board or an acacia board that might be $15 more expensive, but that beautiful board is going to open you up to higher end customers who are now spending $50 to $60 more for that same board. So you might be spending more and be willing to spend more if you're getting the right customers at that price.
Right. You said it earlier, but we have to remember a lot of times we are not our customer sometimes. We say, I would never pay that. Well, fine, you're not your customer, right? Right? And a lot of times, I wrote this, I said I wasn't going to say it, and I'm going to say it now, is we have to change our thinking and change our words, because if we don't believe in our product, that's going to come across. It's going to come across in the way that we carry ourselves and the words that we use. We got to stop that, okay? It's okay to say, hey, I understand if you're not my customer, it's all right, but you need to be proud of what you make, and that comes across. And so you want to present it in a way that you're proud of.
Yeah, one thing I've used before in these presentations is people sorter versus, don't convince them, sort them. A lot of times when we first start, we're like, this board, and they're like, oh, that's too expensive, and we're like trying to convince them, but it's a beautiful wood, it's spent this much time. Then they don't really care, right? So I'm done convincing them that they need to buy it at my price. I just get my product in front of as many people as possible, and I sort them. Either you're interested, you find value, you don't, thank you, you do, let's work on that. So stop convincing them, start sorting.
Right. So before we jump into the rest of this, we've got the little quick 3 bullet points here. A few important tips about pricing. Number 1, go ahead and you do the first one, I'll do the next one.
Yeah, the price you choose has to make sense for you and your business.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're evaluating what makes sense for you. You're not basing your prices on your customer. You're basing on what makes sense for your business. not comparing it to other people's businesses. You're looking at your business and what makes sense and what you're comfortable with making on that.
Yeah, because you'll see a lot of times you'll see somebody, you'll say, oh, Genevieve is selling this thing for $40. And you either say, I can't make ends meet at $40. And you say, well, then maybe you don't need to sell it then. And that's okay. Sometimes we somehow can't seem to give ourselves permission to not do it. And occasionally you just go, and I'm just saying Genevieve because we're friends, I just want to say, let her sell it and that's great and let her have a great time with it, but not every product is for you. In fact, let me just say the thing you don't expect me to say. As a designer, not all of my files are for you either. And that's okay. It's totally okay. You'll find some that you love, some that you don't, or maybe Robin's files are perfect for you and mine aren't. That's okay. It's got to be right for you. So don't get lost into thinking, oh, Mark's got these letter banks that everybody loves. I need to sell those. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's not a good fit for you.
And that ties right into the second point, right? If it doesn't make a profit, don't do it, right? If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So too often we're like, oh, it took me 12 hours and this amount of material, and then when I sold it, I sold 1,000 of them at the end of the year. You're like, but I have no money. What's going on here? So understanding that if it doesn't make money, if you're here, if you want to do a hobby and you want to have fun and make things, great. But if you're trying to run a business and grow your business, profit's important.
It's got to make sense.
I would add to that, if it doesn't make you happy.
Oh, that's so good.
Because if you're not happy doing it, it doesn't matter what it costs,
Yeah.
how much money you're making with it, you're not going to want to do it. It's going to be a chore, you're going to hate it.
Yeah, that's so good.
up
The
your
phrase I
price.
use myself is I always say what brings me joy. If it doesn't bring me joy, I don't want to do it. Now, sometimes I have to. There are seasons when you have to. Like I'm going to go ahead and tell the story now. I have to do it. Yeah. So when I was, he's heard all my. He's like my work wife, and so he's heard all my stories.
I'm the wife.
He can. Wow. So when I was a graphic designer, I used to do a lot of things, including brochures, like trifold brochures and that kind of thing. And I never really enjoyed them. I was good at it, but I didn't enjoy it. But it took me a while to figure out that I didn't enjoy it. And every time I got a job, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I did it. And then one of my friends who was really brilliant said, you've heard this your whole life, I'm sure, is just raise your price until they go away. And that you've heard it, right?
Go away price.
Well, the go away price. And so I'll just tell you the prices. And I don't know, I wasn't as high as some people, but I would charge $500 to design a brochure. And so I raised it to $600 because I thought, sweet, they'll go away. I got more customers. It's like, dang it. And my friends were always go, well, aren't you happy with the $600? I go, I still hate it. I still hate it. And he said, well, can't you just get over it? And I was like, no, I still hate it. $700, $800, $1,500. And I kept getting, now I got different customers. Like the $400 customers were gone, but I got different ones. And I realized it didn't work. I just kept finding a different market, which is, by the way, what we want you guys to do, but not with something you hate. Because I realized, now my friend goes, well, I could be happy for $1,500. I was like, I guess I don't know what's wrong with me. I still hate it. So I finally realized the best day ever was when I just took it off my menu and I started selling cheaper stuff that I loved, and I was happy. And I realized, oh, that there's something there. So, yeah. Do you want to?
Yep, and the final one. But sometimes money in the pocket is where you need to be. We all understand that there's a time where I have bills. I have things I need to pay this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ideally would like to make this much money on a product, but if I have that margin to be able to come down a little and sell more of it, I need the money in my pocket. I have to pay kids' ballet. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay this. But know that you don't live in that space.
Yeah.
Right? That you understand that, one, you've priced appropriately in the beginning so that you have those margins to be able to play with them and throw a flash sale, get out there and sell bulks of it, but know that you have to have an exit strategy to get back to what makes sense for your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to reiterate it because we're all there where we need money. I mean, where we really need it now. And you're going to do something that you know long-term, this is not a good plan, but I need it now. Give yourself permission that that's okay. Just don't, like you said, don't live there. But there are times when we have to sell something for a small, or we'll talk about the value of our time. Sometimes I need to just say my time isn't worth anything right now because I need dollars, you know? And hey, this took me 4 hours to do, and if I was going to pay myself by the hour, I get nothing out of it. But the one thing I do have is time, and the one thing I don't have is money. And so sometimes I need to give up my time for money. Just know that I don't want to live there forever, but it's okay. So give yourself permission. If you're in that season, it's all right. Yeah, one more phrase that we'll do here. You can go ahead and read that one if you want to.
Yeah, you need to be selling what the customer wants, where the customer shops, at the price the customer spends. So that kind of like entails everything for you, right? Know who you're selling to, understand your market, and have your prices fit them, because you have to find all of those three things for them to actually spend that money.
Yeah, and it's because it's so important. I've seen people go to craft fairs and they have a table of things that doesn't sell. Then you got to ask yourself, what's happening, right? And it may be several things. It may be you've got the wrong things for this market, you've got the wrong price for this market, or the people that buy this are not at this show. And you got to analyze all those things and try to make all those things fit, right? So when we talk about the right price, it's not always that simple. Sometimes it's the right price for the wrong people, or the wrong price for the wrong item, or the wrong place. So this is kind of the sweet spot when you're selling what the customer wants, where they shop, at the price they spend. So we're going to go through just a to-do list for you guys. If you were going to go home today and do something different regarding your pricing, we tried to break this down and make it really simple, and I'll let Will talk about the first one.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you know your costs. I jumped that earlier, so I should talk about. Yeah, you need to fully understand what your product costs you to make, from you to your customer, and that includes your materials, wood, acrylic, the tools, your 3M, your glues, shipping, packaging. Bubble wrap, we don't consider that, or if we're shipping the boxes that we pay for. All those little things add up, and then if we don't know truly what our cost is, then we're never going to be able to price accordingly, because we think, well, I spent $2 on the material. You don't think of anything else, and you're like, oh, I can sell it for $8 and I made this, but a box, this shipping, your time, your labor, right? You have to also account for that, and all of those factors play a big role in understanding where you start at, so you know where you want to end at.
Yeah.
And too often as crafters, we treat it like a hobby. We don't treat it like a business. You go into a business and they know their costs. And we are like, well, how much that cost you to make? Between $5 and $10. $5 and $10 is a big gap on where your profit can be. So understanding where your costs are, factoring in your time, your laser time. And we also talk about a lot of people we hear with pricing calculators.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen them plug it in. I plug in, this cost me this. This is how much time it has. This is what my cost should be. And there are times where it works. We don't use them as the end all be all. We say that's a great starting point to train your mind to actually know what your costs are. Enter that in and see, this is the bare minimum of what I think it can cost. And then go from there.
How many of you guys have used a pricing calculator before? Anybody know what we're talking about? Oh, so less than I thought. Okay, so maybe we're talking to the wrong room. But we talk a lot about how we think a pricing calculator is valuable in terms of helping you collect the things that you need to not forget. Hey, I forgot to add in my tape. I forgot to add in my masking. I forgot to add in. So we think a pricing calculator is good to make sure you don't miss anything. But the problem comes sometimes when a pricing calculator can't necessarily take into account the market you're selling to. Sometimes it just can't take in a lot of things. For example, I'll just make something up. If you put in, hey, I'm using MDF from this source and it cost me $1 a sheet, great, so I got $1, and your total cost is $1.75 to make it. And it goes, great, times 4. By the way, let's say $2 because I can't do $1.75 times 4, I'm not that good. $2, and you go, oh, times 4, sweet, I got to charge $8 for this. It's not taking into account that there's people out there who would pay $40 for that thing that cost you 4 or 6 or whatever. So that's where sometimes pricing calculators can get you in trouble, because you're charging way less than you should or could, because all it's doing is a math thing that's not taking into account anything else. Any other things to add to that?
I do. No, I think we're good with that, with the pricing calculator. Use it as a tool to get an understanding, to train yourself on understand all your costs. But using it for everything, I think, can be a huge mistake for your business. I think, Steve, you had a question?
Just let's throw back in. A lot
Yes.
of people get the perfect price to sell, but nobody ever considers the cost of selling.
Oh, talk about that. Tell me some.
Are you coming up to that?
No,
Okay.
Go for it.
Yep. I do a Renaissance fair. It cost me $800 to be at a Renaissance fair for a couple of weekends.
Yes.
That's a lot of cost above my product cost,
Yes.
my cotton, everything else.
Tables.
That I've got is a one-off, but every event costs money.
Right.
Etsy costs money.
Yes.
The cost of Etsy. They have to make money.
But right.
But that's part of my price. Or
Yes.
part of my cost.
Yes, that's great. So if you didn't catch it, so like the cost of entering a fair.
Or just a site like Etsy.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't forget that. That's in there somewhere. So we're gonna touch on something that we have spent hours on this next topic, and we are not happy with where we landed, and we think that maybe that's the way of things. We're not sure, so we are asking for your input. We're gonna go ahead and do this. It would be easier if we skipped it,
Yeah.
but we're not going to.
I had it scratched out on my notes.
Because this is important. People ask, how do I charge for laser time? / how do I charge for my time? Both, but the laser time is a hot topic, and we're going to tell you our opinion, and some of you are going to hate our opinion, and that's okay. You're wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
He's the expert, okay?
No. But we want to point. We're going to tell you our opinion, but we want to point out that this is not a simple topic, and it's hard to deal with, and we recognize that. So, Will, why don't you just start by talking what we think? Yeah, absolutely.
I know. I don't charge it, no.
Right, but because you guys know what we're talking about. Like, let's just say, Jonathan had that cutting board earlier that he showed us that he said it took, I don't remember.
6 hours.
6 hours? How can you, I'm not going to even argue about why it took that. That's not the point. If it takes 6 hours, how do you recoup your laser time from that? Because dang it, here I'm jumping ahead.
Go for it.
But the customer doesn't care how long it took you. It values X to them, and that's it. They don't say, oh, it took you 6 hours. My bad. I'll pay $200. I was just kidding. They don't care how long it takes you, or they don't care if it's fast. They just say it's worth X to me, and that's all it is. They don't care, and they shouldn't care, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, because if you look at that, if something's 6 hours, and if they cared, like you said, they're going to pay more. And if we had a price set for our value, or our price set, and we ended up getting equipment that did it faster, we shouldn't be lowering our prices.
No.
Right? Just because we became more efficient, we make 1,000 of those, we're faster, we paint quicker, our laser's quicker. We don't lower our price because we're more efficient. They don't care. The end product is what they care about. And if it's slow or fast, it doesn't matter. So that's why when we say the laser time is very tricky to try to balance that, because what you're saying is anyone who works on a Glowforge is going to charge a lot more than someone who runs an industrial speed laser, which the customer is never going to do that. So
No, they don't say I value a cutting board on a Glowforge more than I value one on a Thunder. That the customer doesn't care. Doesn't even know what you're talking about. So that's where the little danger comes in. Now, are we saying that there's no value in your time? No, that's not what we're saying. But it's just not a A to B thing where it took me 6 hours and it's $1 per laser minute. This is $700.
We laugh because we've all seen that $1 a laser minute thrown out there in the groups. Like, yeah, charge.
And it just doesn't always work. And you have to at least recognize that it doesn't always work. And again, to his point, if you then bought one that went 5 times faster, do you just cut your price by 5 times? No. You leave it high, or you leave it wherever it is because it's still the same value.
And we talk about the high end, but it could also be where we can be too low because we can make something like one of your awards that has very quick engrave time, not a ton of material. And if you took it like, oh, it was only 5 minutes of an engrave, I should charge this much less, where the market will say I can charge $40 for it. But if I went based on what the laser time it was, it's a $10 item.
Yeah.
So it can go both ways, not too high, not too low. That's why we say we've been tackling this for a year and not had anything that we can say, put this number, price.
No.
It's not that easy.
It isn't. Because I do a lot of awards. I love doing awards. And I'll do a standard size award is maybe 6 inches tall, 7 inches tall, somewhere in the neighborhood. And maybe it's a 1/4 inch acrylic. I can get about 6 or 7 of them on one Glowforge size sheet. They cost me, by the time I'm done, it maybe take, on my Miro now, it takes me about 6 minutes per award to make. And I've got maybe $2.50, $3 worth of material in it, and I can charge $35 an award all day long easily, and the customer doesn't mind at all. In fact, I'd probably do 40, 45. But if you do a pricing calculator, it would say $3 times 300%. Oh, you're at $12. I'd be selling a $12 award when I can sell it for 40. So you got to just pay attention to all this.
And we're going to address that when we talk about seeing what other people are charging and finding out what your market will bear, and then understanding this is where your cost is, this is what your market will bear, and finding somewhere in that happy medium.
So kind of to wrap this one up, make sure you know what your costs are. Make them as low as you can, right? I mean, make your costs as low as you possibly can, but make sure you do actually know what all your costs are. Go ahead and do that one.
Yeah, so next is you want to find out what the charging. So you want to do a little bit of market research on what others are selling that product for. And you're going to see where you're like, well, I'm selling these for 25. How are they selling them for 75? And we need to see, it could be Etsy, it could be Marketplace, wherever, you go to shows. I tend to go to, when I'm selling physical products and made products, not physical products, but projects, I would go to shows not as a vendor. I don't really enjoy doing the shows, but I'd go there as a customer, seeing what other laser creators are doing, what they're creating, what the customer base that's around that area as well. So I'm doing the research to find who I want to sell to, what others are selling it at, and where that gap is from what I'm selling it at and what they're selling it at, and is there something that I can do in my products to get it to there.
Let me ask you. So when we say find out what the best are charging, if you pick anything, we want you to go out there and look at Etsy, look in Facebook, look around at the different shows and say, I'll use an award again. We could use something else. Pick anything. But we can say, these are the people that I admire and they are selling. Oh, I'll go ahead and use one of my own products. So because that's the one I know the most about. So we talk all the time about letter banks that I've sold for forever. And there are people who sell letter banks of mine for $25 and people as high as $85. And of course, we all want to be the $85 people, right? Right? I mean, yeah, we do. More if we can, right? In fact, there's a couple ladies in my group who said they keep raising their price because they need to slow down demand enough to keep up. I want that problem. Right? I want that. And so they found a happy medium. They were about $80 a letter bank because that way they're still super busy. But what does that tell you? That tells you a couple things that, well, to this point, why are they able to sell it at 80 and you're not? Well, the answer is I don't know, but you need to find that out. That's what we're saying. List all the differences between their products and yours. List just off the top of your head what could possibly someone else be doing in terms of the product, not the marketing yet. But
yeah, so
what could
a couple things. It could be your materials. They're using a higher quality material. Maybe they're making it out of acrylic. You're doing it out of wood. Yeah, your finishing skills, right? Is their paint look great? Is it no glue marks? They've sanded it. There's not all the char around everything. Photography, if you're looking at Etsy or you're looking at marketplaces, I scroll, there might be 1,000 listings for that exact same thing. What makes me stop at yours? And if your photo looks like crap, they're not stopping.
yeah.
Does not matter. And then marketing, of course, but those things, right? So you want to look at what they're doing versus what you're doing. And oftentimes I hear this and I say it to the people I mentor or people in my group. They're like, this is my best. Sometimes your best is not good enough. Just being honest. Don't do your best, do what's required. If they're doing the things that you're not doing to market to a better customer who's willing to spend more, get better.
Yeah, please.
There's like ads that I'm sure everybody gets the ads that come up. And have
Yeah.
you seen one where it says, I love you, I love you, I love you? It's just a sign and it's all your like grandkids.
Oh, yeah.
I love you. Oh, so I had a customer reach out to me and she was like, can you make this? And I was like, I've been wanting to make one of these. I wanted to make it for his mom. So I was like, yes, we can make it. Well, how much do you charge? And she sent me, she's like, I saw this. And she sent me the link. So I clicked on the link. I put I wanted 7 I love yous. And if there was she only said, I hate when people do this. It only said small or large sign. I'm like, give me dimensions, please.
Yeah, right.
What is large?
Yep.
So anyways, I put large. $595 for 7 I love yous. I was only going to charge $10 per I love you. And I was like, shit, I can do it for $150, and she bought it because that lady would like. I don't understand how you can charge $600 for a large sign with just 7 cut out I love yous.
Yeah. Of course, there's two sides of that. I want to charge that much.
I want to charge
Right. Yeah.
I could never charge that because I know how easy it is to make that. But anyways, so she bought it from me rather than that lady.
Yeah.
But the customer doesn't need to know how easy it is for you to create,
No, I don't
right?
say
Yeah.
that's going to cost me $2
Right.
Yeah.
in wood.
So that's something that we have to get over that mental hurdle to say, I know how much my material costs. I know how easy it is for me to make. Therefore, I could never charge $5.99. We need to get out of that mentality and say, the customer doesn't care at the end of the day if it's easy or how much it
They set
costs
the
you.
value.
They set the value. So if there are people marketing for $5.99, there's people buying it for $5.99.
Right.
Right? So that's the biggest thing for a lot of us is to get over that hump. I would never pay for that, or I know how easy it is. Oh, I feel like that's too high. Ultimately, they're going to either buy or not. So if there's a market and you're marketing to the right people and you get in front of them, don't be afraid to charge a price that you might think is ridiculous, because they might say, I would pay $800 for that. $600 is a steal.
I would rather make 10 of those at 150 than one or two at the 500.
Oh, I wouldn't.
No.
No way.
I want to do
No
least
way.
amount of work for the most amount of money.
Make a ton for everybody.
But see, the thing is, I want to make a ton at $500.
Yeah.
In other words, don't draw that line. If I'd rather just go find a ton of customers that are paying more. One,
Tell me where to find those
well, we'll talk about that a little bit.
Maybe easy and cheap for you, maybe impossible for the person buying it.
That's true. There's some
So,
people that
you know,
can't do
and
it.
they might have to,
I know, and I
$10
look
million
at it
in
as
the bank and need to
my-
give it to you.
I look at it as it's so easy. Like
Right,
I
it's
really
easy
find
for
what
you.
I
It
do is
might
so
not be.
easy that everybody could do it, but I don't realize that.
With years of experience, a $6,000 laser, $2,000 of acrylic that you have to keep in stock, a messy table, orange fingers, smell like smoke. They're not doing all that. They're getting a beautiful product for no work.
Yeah. No, I definitely downplay the talent.
Well, and I'll use I'm trying to think of one that's that everybody understands as volatile. Brands like people hate Apple, people love Apple, and I'm using this on purpose to make a point, okay? And because I actually don't care. You do whatever you do, and it's awesome. I love mine, but I'm not trying to sell mine to you. But I also get people attacking me like, why would you pay that $300,000 for? It's like, but I'm sorry, did I bring this up? Why are you so worked up about this? But my point is, here's my point. Can you, from a specs standpoint, buy this machine for far less by another brand? The answer is yes. But people buy this all the time, and Apple's over there making money like nobody's business. And here we are going, I would never pay that, but people are, and that's my point. Is don't try to talk them out of it. Just go do your thing. But if somebody's selling it for $500, maybe you should sell them for $400 instead of $125. You know, please.
Venture to say, if someone sends you a link and they see something that they want, but they want you to do it differently,
Yeah.
so they send you a link, but it's $600. Why didn't you charge $600 or $500?
$592.
They're looking to pay that money if they're sending you the link.
Yeah, right.
They're sending you
Yeah, right. Sure. But I think these are all great points that we all just have to think about. So let me keep moving just for the sake of time. But the number one thing we want to tell you to do is find out what the best are charging and figure out why they're able to charge that and you aren't. And I'll just use that number just out of air. If they're charging $600, maybe you can't charge $600, but maybe you're charging $100 and you could charge $3. And you can say, what is different about theirs that I need to be better at? And I'll be honest, there's things that I'm not good at that other people are better at, like like I'm not good at hand painting things. I'm really good at spray painting. And by the way, I mean I'm really good at it, but I'm not good at like paint pens and things like that. I don't have the patience for it, but other people are, and sometimes that's what will separate them from me. Okay, and so I have to say either I'm okay with that or I got to be better. You know, so that's the first thing is find out what's different from their products to yours, okay? The next one is a very similar wording, but find out where they're selling, not what they're selling. Because sometimes you're just selling at the wrong place, right? Again, I said it earlier, when you say nobody in my town spends that, what you mean is you haven't found the people in your town that spend that. They do. Or maybe you're going to the right Renaissance fair or the wrong one. Yeah, you've probably been to some that make tons of money and some that are terrible, right? So you got to find the right ones in the right places and the wrong places. List all the places that the best are that you aren't. You know, find out where are they going that's different than me, because that's important. Okay. Anything to add to that one?
Nope, I think we're good on that one.
What kind of questions do you guys have before we move on about anything about pricing before we talk about marketing, please?
Just like you were saying, like on Etsy, like I was looking for personal items that, of course, I don't do or whatever, and like you were saying about pictures and stuff. I was looking at people's pictures, and of course, a lot of them go back and use the picture where they bought it from.
Yeah.
So now you see everyone has the same picture, so now you don't know if that person is real.
That's true.
And then reviews. I
Yeah.
always look for someone that has 90,000 or more reviews.
Yeah, you're right. Woo. Yeah.
And in the US.
Yeah.
I did find out a lot of them are not in the US anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my whole thing. So when you do take pictures, to make sure it stands out. So when they see that background all the time or that plant, they know it's you. It's
Yeah.
not a mock-up from 1,000 other ones.
Well, and let me just add
And
a.
it's just like the same thing like with your piggy bank.
Yeah, let me add a piece to that too. Let's say you do, just for sake of argument, you do use somebody else's, like if I provide marketing photos. By the way, I don't want to and I don't like doing it. But I say y'all, I don't mean you. But y'all just kept pressuring me to provide it, so I do. I think you shouldn't use my photos. I think you should use your own because, with exception, you better be producing the thing that's in that picture.
There you go.
Right? Now, if you can, then that's great. That's great. But a lot of times people use a picture that's beautiful, but their product's not.
Or use it in conjunction with.
Yeah, right. So make sure that your photo is representing what you actually do.
Yep.
Right.
You got to be able to replicate it, and you also need to. I mean, I'm a big advocate of. I know, like a lot of file designers, let you use their pictures. I would tell you to take a picture of your own. Make sure your pictures are of high quality, because as a consumer, because I don't make a lot of these, if I'm buying something and I see multiple of the same picture, like you were saying, if there's nothing to differentiate your product from the next, I'm shopping price.
Sure.
Right.
And if yours exact same picture and they're 25 and you're 45, I don't see a difference. I'm more likely to go to the 25. I'm not going to go to the very bottom, but I am going to
To
go
your
cheaper.
point. Yeah.
But just like with marketing stuff, when you do it and you have your piggy bank, 'cause that's what I was looking for this year, personalized piggy bank.
Yeah.
When some of them just have the plain wood,
Yeah.
and then some had the word painted, or the other, they got two different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this year, I'll admit it, I paid $85 for a wooden piggy bank.
But that's okay.
Here's
but
my
that's okay
FC.
though.
I'm just kidding.
Because why? Because I can't do it. And that picture looked beautiful compared to the other one. I was like, oh, that one looks plain. I'm going to pay 50 or I'm going to pay 80.
Sure.
This one they're going to have for a lot
Yep.
longer. And it looks prettier because it's their actual picture. Because they have pictures of all their stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have their little plant. And it looked real versus a mock-up
Right.
from a magazine or the company.
I was going to say, you also pointed out one earlier. I was going to say is if they have all the same photos and everything's the same, but you have more reviews, that might push somebody over the edge. So the point is, you got to differentiate, make yourself different, however you can, right?
Just like you said, $25 and $80. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking real detail, zooming in, looking at it. Is it a mock-up?
Yeah.
Is it real?
Yep.
Do they actually paint it? Do they tape it? Or is there paint on the side?
Oh man, I'm gonna be better at my Photoshop skills.
The difference is, what about someone just starting out? Because you're saying reviews.
Yeah, it's tough.
They could also have their own
It,
picture.
it's tough. You're right.
So,
I think.
With the scams around the holidays,
Yeah.
with Etsy letting China come in and do stuff, I think it's really hard. So I think it goes back to word of mouth.
Yeah.
And make sure when you do send that product out that they do give you a review.
I think the
I
answer.
like the reviews when people take their picture of their actual item.
I do
and
too.
put it with then you know it's not a robot.
Yeah, I think the answer. I mean, because I know you know the answer, but I'll say it anyway. Is just do the best with what you have. Okay? Because I know for me, throughout my whole life, and especially as a business person right now, when I go, and all of us go through tough times in sales and in income and that kind of thing is, and when I'm going through this time, I got to ask myself, am I doing everything I know how to do? Because a lot of times I'm looking for something new, and I'm always reminding myself, yeah, but you aren't doing the things you know how to do. And you're complaining about things you don't have, but I'm also not using the things I do have. Like, I'm not posting enough. This is his sermon. All the time. You're not posting, but like you told me last week, you said, Mark, you don't post enough outside of your own group. Like, I can't argue with that. You're right. I do not. And so and then people say, I have people still say, I had no idea you had letter banks. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's when you don't.
But I realize that's a fact for them. That's a fact. And so I've got to do better. And so sometimes, even if you're a beginner and you don't have all the reviews, are you using everything that you have in front of you? Usually the answer is no. So put it all to good use. Yes, ma'am.
I think, Mark, like Steve said, I think we don't also take into account like all the time we spend on like posting, right? So I know I'm far behind posting, and I think everyone's camera rolls here is full of product pictures. Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like what she said was, I think every picture should have your essence in it, right? Like something that just calls you and like make it homey, make it real.
Yeah.
And it's like as you guys are talking, I like how real you guys are, and like we all go through seasons, right? So, Crystal, we were sharing how much I charge for this, and she's like, girl, you need to charge more. And I said, well, it just kind of depends on where I'm at, right? If my co-payment is coming up, then I might raise my price, right? But it's not about that. And like you said, and I love how real you are, because you guys, I've seen Will's, you know, from the beginnings before he started his blanks, and I followed you, Mark, for a really long time. And how real you guys are. It's like, it's all right if you guys aren't making money and just, you have the time, because, you know, sometimes we feel our time is free, which is not, but we just need that money. And I think that's what just, and I love coming to this, and I'm one of those that's gone to markets and paid $150 to sell a $2 sticker.
Yeah.
You know, but I love just the networking of it. But like I said, it might not have been my market, and you know, the right people weren't there, and it's a lot of word of mouth, and you hit it right on the nail. It's like, I have a lot of ideas, like I want to do this, but I've been kept so busy because my customers will send me those Etsy links, right?
Yeah.
But I wish I had a customer like yours, because mine send me like the ones that are $5, you know?
I saw it. Timu ones.
Exactly. They know what they're doing with me because I've had a soft spot. But I think we're all, and it's always in seasons, right? We're just in a season, and we were chatting. I don't have an itch. I'm just all over the place, right? You send me an idea, and I'll do it. And I hate sometimes when we see, or I dislike when we see in groups and say, oh, don't copy, be original. We all did somehow, somewhere. We saw something, and then, but we make it our essence. We put our signature, we put our, or sometimes it's just, you know, messaging our customers, and that's what they're going for, right? It's like you said. You saw two different ones, but you saw one that was more homey. So I'm going to go with that one, even though it was more, because it's nicer and it's going to last me a long time. So I really appreciate you both being so real on that, because I'm like, okay, you guys are just, it's all about the numbers. No, sometimes we just have those down days, and, you know, or months sometimes, you know.
Genevieve and I were talking, I'll tell what I said, is like, right now is a kind of a downtime for file sellers. It's a tough world right now. And it's really tough. We can talk about that later, but we all go through it.
Surprise!
It is not.
Like you were saying on the website, like there's no size in it. That is something I look at.
Oh.
I do look at the description. I do look what it's made out of. Because when I'm looking at the picture, I might think it's something else, and then they say it's something else, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I do look at, make sure all the measurements are there, or what type of material, and because I want to know, is it going to last, or can it get wet? You can't get
Large
wet.
and small doesn't tell
I
you
was
anything.
talking about, like, the piggy banks do come large and small, some just
Well-
large and small, and then some say, but some did their own twist, some did 3 sizes. They did 4, 7, and like 11.
So I think if I could wrap this part up with this is, do everything you know how to do, okay? Because like I joke, I shouldn't always joke, because I'm not a negative person by nature anyway, but I talk to Tyler, my one employee I have, and I say, man, if we run this thing into the iceberg, we're going to run into it doing everything we know how to do. And of course, we're not running into the iceberg. Everything's fine. Because you should never say that to your employees. Like, wait a minute, what's happening? But the point is, I go, hey, you know what? We've been lazy for a couple weeks. Get off our butts and do the things, because we're always looking for the next new thing. And sometimes it's like, no, what you need is right in front of you. You're just not doing it. Like okay, I got to move on. But some of my descriptions are, okay, 20, did you say 20 minutes? Is that what you
55.
100 minutes.
55.
Okay.
55.
So, you know, like a lot of times my descriptions are not as good as they should be. And I go, you know what, Mark, you missed the ball. You missed it there. You got to do a better job on that. So go back and make them better, you know. So just for sake of time, we got to keep moving. But we're here all day. So we'll be here if you guys need us.
I say we blow down.
We're gonna do some marketing rapid fire tips. These are gonna just kind of be off the top of our head, the things that we like to do. And you guys can ask anything and comment throughout it. We'll just use all the time we have. Why don't you start with one?
Yeah, well, okay.
Oh,
yeah, go ahead,
do that
start with
first,
yours.
since
Yeah,
it's
that's
mine.
yours.
Yeah.
Your idea.
The number one thing I feel so strongly about that people do poorly when it comes to marketing, I almost feel like they blow by this one without thinking about it. You need to have a central place that you can send people to buy from you or get more information. And I'm not going to push any particular thing, but like a website or a Facebook page or a central place to get info. Because if you say DM me, that is not, I mean, you can do that. But you need because conversations need to happen, that's totally fine. But you need to have a place where people can find you at 3 in the morning. Because by the way, how many of y'all buy from Amazon at 3 in the morning? Yeah, the rest of you are liars. You absolutely do. I have bought more. I got hooked on shoes several years ago, and I have a lot of shoes that were bought after midnight. Because, well, I'm old and I get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and I'm awake and I pull my phone out and I start shopping. You know.
I'll tell a quick
Was that
story
out
about
loud?
him with shopping. I just know you're late night shopping.
Yeah,
I sent him luggage for Christmas.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, someone sent me this luggage. I think I ordered it while I was half asleep. I don't know. I was thinking about.
Well, 'cause I was actually
looking at
thinking
it
about
last
luggage,
night,
so-
and it showed up at my door. So yeah, he doesn't know what he buys.
Well, of course, I don't know. Real quick, I checked my front porch because I just assume I ordered something, and I'm like, and my wife's like, "What are you looking for?" I don't know, but I ordered something. Yeah. It's a.
Ask your significant other, did you order something?
Yeah, you're right. Like,
Or were you expecting something?
right.
Where's the box?
Yeah, absolutely. Our front hallway has just got boxes in it all the time. It's just part of the decor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So have a central place.
Central place, because let me talk about this one with a little more detail. No matter where you market or who you market to, you need to be able to send someone somewhere to get more information at some point. And if it's always dependent on a message that you have to reply to, that's the only way they do it, that's not good. They need to be able to go to, if it's Facebook, that's fine. If you have a Facebook page, use your photo albums. You guys, do you know what I'm... Use your photo albums. Like, let's say you sell, I would say Letterbanks just is on my mind. You have a photo album called Letterbanks, and you've got pictures of all of them there. This is an online product catalog that you can use that's free.
Because they're not going to scroll down 75 posts to see what you make. Make it easy for them to find your product.
People have a hard time finding albums. I have
They do.
tons of albums and nobody knows how to find
So let me give you a quick tip that I love to do. I'm going to mention iPhones. I know the Androids can do it too, but this is just one that I know how to do. Do you guys know how to do text replacement on your phone?
Do what?
Text replacement? Okay, this is fantastic. So if you have an iPhone, and again, I know they can do it on other ones, I just don't know how. If you go to settings, if you have a phone, just do this with me. Go to settings and go to general. I'll wait. Everybody, I feel like I'm my time at the church. Everybody look at me when you're there. Okay, oh, good. Okay. And you go to settings in general, and you go to keyboard, which is about halfway down. See it? Text replacement. And here's all that happens is you type in a short thing, and you type in the long thing. So for example, everybody does on my way, you know, is filled in there. But right. But what I do, for example, I got tons of things in there. I have my address. I have directions to my warehouse in a paragraph that's just called, everything for me is BBLD, Big Blue Laser Design, so I can, BBLD directions, and then I never have to type it. Here's where I'm going with that. If you're using Facebook and you have albums, you know that the URL at the top will go to that album. Go in here and make it called album banks, album blah, 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 and put it in here, and you just type it in, and boom, there's that link. You don't ever have to remember it.
They don't have to go looking for it.
You are so much smarter than you look.
Wow.
And see, I'm not smart enough to be offended by that. But use now. Of course, you can use a notes. You could copy and paste out of a note thing. You don't have to use the text replacement, okay? But I use it all the time because I don't want to have to type something out. Like my YouTube channel, the link, I just go BBLD YT, there it is. And I just have everything, because it's easy for me to remember how I'm doing it, and so I can just do it all the time. You can do it with anything, and you can do it with your marketing, okay? Because it's a real quick way to get something to somebody. And you don't have to say, go to my Facebook page and find the photo album, and just send them the album that has the stuff in it.
And it goes right to where they need to go.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you don't have time right now, if it's in your notes and you just copy and paste it to people, like mine, you know, use the search bar. I use that copy and paste for all my comments
50
on
minutes,
Facebook.
I was teaching my brother how to do this, and my brother's name is Roger, and I said, look, I can just do RC for Roger Collier, and it says Roger is a turd. And I forgot to kill it, and to this day, when I type in RC, it goes, Roger is a turd. It's like, no, stupid, no. So.
I did my initial setup, but you
Yeah, right.
Simple. Just make it. You want to make it easy for yourself to make it easy for them, right? Because we're not going to sit there and want to type it or go onto the site,
Tell you what.
copy it.
Tell you what, I'm not going to even make any more points. What questions do you have in the 5 minutes we have? I'm not going to try to do something new.
Yeah.
Please.
Are you offering a course on how to do $1,500 brochures?
And as funny is, I would hate that too. No.
But I think it's like when you guys are saying people are not, no one's buying, no one's seeing it. How many times do you have to actually see something before you go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go buy it?
Yep. So that's why I'm the same. I've told Mark, post. Share your work in front of many people as you can.
Even though you shared it twice in 1 month, new people
See it? No.
it.
No.
It's like you said with this piggy banks, it's been out for a whole year. That
Yeah, right. Well, and like, for example, I think Facebook does this in general, but like in groups, for example, it'll show me how many people saw my post.
Yeah.
And I just want to slam my head against the wall because, like, moron, like, I don't care. Like, my group's not huge, but I got about 14,000 in there. And I post something and it says, seen by 74.
Yeah.
And I go, wait a minute, literally 13,000 whatever
Didn't see
people didn't see it. So they're not tired of it. They never saw it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If the 74 people get tired of it,
see it,
fine.
you'd move
Okay?
But then that 9th post gets your sale.
Yes, because it's new.
Because they saw it 4, 5, 6 times.
it's just
Yeah.
like you see something, God's telling me I need it.
Right. Whatever works. Yeah, I think God's talking to you.
For people who make physical things, do you recommend boosting and doing ads on Instagram or Facebook?
I do. Yeah.
Is there a specific one that you recommend, like the $20 a day, or like what do you recommend? I'm more of a Facebook person. That's where I grew my
Yeah,
business,
yeah.
but I know that I need to cut over to Instagram to get. I want more people to see my stuff. I already have
TikTok.
I think my answer to that is not going to be super satisfying. I think as you start learning where your customers are, you'll know where to do it. Like for me personally, just transfer this to yourself, is for me as a file seller, Facebook is easily the best place. And like people are not buying files on Instagram much. I won't say zero, it's not zero, but not much. So as a file seller, I need to be on Facebook. TikTok is a place for me to educate people, but they're not buying files from what I'm doing.
They are buying finished products.
I understand, but I'm talking about so you got to know your product, know your market, right?
So for me, would you recommend boosting or doing ads on Facebook?
Yes, but I think you should be pushing toward TikTok more. I think you should be.
Because you know those people on TikTok at 1 a.m. They're selling candy that you can go buy at Walmart yourself.
Here's the way.
Yeah.
Invest in it. Run the same one on multiple
Yeah,
platforms
right.
and see where you get some results. Because you don't know yet.
Hey, we've got. We've,
And I have one quick statement if you guys want to, that I've said to everyone that I talk to. Marketing 101, break it down to the simplest thing. Make yourself easier to find than your competitors. So if that means you post more, you share more, you talk to more people, ultimately, when they think of a laser engraved item, if you don't come up first in their head, you failed.
Or just see like all those ads, like the piggy bank. I see those ads. I want my stuff to reach those 10.
I know on Etsy you have to sell so many to get to that level for them to sponsor or advertise. I'm talking about when you're just looking through.
yeah.
Oh, those are
So-
sponsors. Yeah, those are sponsors.
They pay for those.
Yeah, the
So.
more you pay, the more it shows. Because I see some like sometimes.
So we need to stop, unfortunately. But Will and I are here all day. And by the way, we're online all the time when we should be asleep. And we're ordering things on Amazon at 4 in the morning. So message me at 3 Central Standard Time. I'll probably be awake.
Yeah. I know some of you have bought from
Mark's
me at 3
getting
in
up
the
to
morning.
pee. He's probably awake. So please, we would like this conversation to continue. We would love to help you in any way we can. We'll do some lives together, but we'll also we'd love to answer any questions you have. So thank you for letting us yak at you this long. We appreciate you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
very much. Absolutely.